There we go. But
they can view.
it doesn't look like there's any attendees anyway.
I can't believe that. And they can view only. They can raise a question in the general chat, or does that go to you?
That goes in the Q&A.
Okay.
Yes. But there's no one there, so if someone shows up, we'll deal with that then.
Okay, because I think that was one thing that happened last month, or the last time we met, which was.
Oh, yep, we got an attendee. There's Ed.
Okay, because I think what happened was we had those folks that did not make some comments. Okay, so let's begin the Beaverton Traffic Commission. Today is January 7th. And we are here today. So we'll begin now with roll. Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Cohen.
I'm an alternate, so I don't count.
Paul is now an alternate?
Paul is now an alternate.
Yep.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
we sent the roster yesterday.
Ooh.
So
All right. Just a moment then. I think I missed that one completely then. Because I saw the one from Stephanie. So apologies then, just a moment.
The roster came from Jabra.
Very good. I completely missed this one then. My apologies.
So I'll just assume that I just show up and don't get called and don't get to talk.
You need to listen.
Yep.
All right then.
Did we lose Ernie?
Looked like he's frozen.
Either he's holding the pose really well or it's like it froze. Yeah, looks like he dropped.
Does someone want to call him to see if he's coming back?
Yeah, I can. I'm sure he's going to try to reconnect, but I can call him, see if maybe it's like, if it's just maybe he needs to rejoin, or if it's something bigger like his internet or something's out.
Right. My thought.
Try so. I'm gonna mute myself here.
Thank you. Sounds like,
If we wait long enough, it's like anything. If you just wait long enough. We can see you again, Ernie.
I'm not sure what happened out here. That just kind of tripped everything, and then the router went out. So I'm
Uh-oh.
hotspotting off my phone here. We'll see how that works, and if everything comes back here in a little bit.
Well, we can hear you and see you
Right.
now.
Did anything? Okay. All righty then. We'll begin then one more time. Sorry about that. Everybody ready?
yes.
Ready?
Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order, and now we'll begin roll. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Present.
Commissioner Brown,
Present.
Vice Chair McClean,
Present.
Commissioner Moore,
Present.
welcome. Commissioner Nakamura,
Present?
and Commissioner Urbanski.
Present.
Excellent. Thank you for that part. All right. Next up, where'd the other? Apologies here. I just lost everything in that my packet meeting minutes here. There we go. All right, next up, staff comments. We'll come back to the visitor comments here. First up, staff comments.
I just want to note that yesterday I emailed you all additional written testimony that was received after we mailed the packet. I hope you all received it. There was 3 from Sergeant Shaw and 1 from Mr. Cohen, and there was another one from a resident on 155th Terrace regarding TC 817.
Thank you. And that one I did see. I did pull that in, so that was good on that. So thank you for sending that. Next up, consent items. This would be the meeting minutes from the last time we met, which would be November. I would make a motion that we approve. There was one typo in there, but I believe that was just pretty straightforward, so I did not see anything else. I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda of the meeting minutes from November 5th, 2020.
I'll second that motion to approve the minutes, and just remind the commissioners that were not here at that meeting, they should probably abstain from voting on that.
Correct, thank you. And second by Commissioner McClean. Not sure if you need that information, Stephanie. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
sorry.
I
have to do
assume I
that
think we have to
different.
go around, yeah.
Can't, that's, yeah. Gonna have to go through that again. Commissioner Bobadilla?
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean?
Aye.
Next would be Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
I think we need to have you note that you are going to abstain since you weren't a member of the commission at that time.
But I was present, so I don't know. That's why I was curious as to how that worked.
Mr. Mr. Khasho?
Parliamentarian.
I think you need to abstain.
Okay, I abstain then. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Nakamura,
Abstain.
thank you. And Commissioner Urbanski
Aye.
and Chair Conway, aye. Thank you. Motion passes then. 5-0 with 2 abstains. All righty, excellent. Next up, we begin the public hearing portion and begin with the reading of the statement, which is now moved. One moment for that. All right, apologies here. Okay, this was a reading of the opening statement and will apply to all 3 of our Traffic Commission reports today. The Traffic Commission will now hold hearings on 3 traffic commissions, which we'll identify individually. The hearing will begin with a report from the city traffic engineer, followed by testimony from the person who submitted the proposal. City traffic engineer's report will list the applicable substantive criteria and the reasons behind the recommendation. We will then hear testimony from any interested parties. If you wish to testify, please clearly state your name and address when given permission to speak on the phone or through video. Your evidence and testimony must be directed to the criteria in section 6.02.060 determined to be applicable by the city traffic engineer or other criteria, current city, metro, TriMet, state, or federal laws or policies which you believe apply to the decision. After the hearing is closed, the commission will deliberate on the evidence received and make an oral decision to approve with conditions, or deny the proposal. The decision will now be final and order is signed by the chairperson. All persons who testify will receive a written notice of the final decision of the commission. Decisions of the commission are recommendations to the city council and become effective after approval by council. Typically, traffic commission recommendations appear in consent agenda on the council and are approved by the council without discussion. City council ordinarily does not conduct a public hearing on such recommendations. Any decision of the commission may be appealed to the city council. When an appeal is properly filed, and a separate hearing will be scheduled before council. Any appeal must be filed with the city recorder within 10 days of the date of the traffic commission's final written order. And the procedures related to written appeals are available from the office of the city traffic engineer and the city recorder. So again, this will apply to all of our discussions today. Let me scroll back up here. That said, we will then begin with our first one, TC 814, loading zone on Southwest Watson Avenue near Beaverdam. Mr. Khasho.
Yeah. This request was from Mr. Charles Keller. He's the Chief Director of the Children's Cancer Therapy Development Institute on Southwest Beaverdam. He requested converting the 1-hour parking zone on the west side of Southwest Watson Avenue to a loading zone that can be utilized by tractor trailers. Mr. Keller indicated that the anticipated redevelopment on Beaverdam, and that's next to their building to the west, and the associated removal of the on-street parking and the utility work will prevent truck deliveries from using the street, basically. Currently, what they do is they get truck trailers and they use Beaverdam to unload. He also indicated that due to the steepness of their driveway at their existing parking lot, couriers cannot utilize that driveway. And that driveway, actually, it's on Watson Avenue. Currently, there is approximately 85 feet of on-street parking on the west side of Southwest Watson Avenue between Milliken Way and Beaverdam Road. Parking in this zone is allowed for 1 hour from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Converting this parking area to a loading zone will remove approximately 4 parking spots. Staff is proposing to convert this 1 hour parking on the west side of Southwest Watson Avenue between Milliken Way and Beaverdam to a loading zone that will be in effect between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. This loading zone will allow large truck deliveries to all businesses in the area. It will allow patrons of many restaurants and the food carts in the area to park on the street during the high demand in the evening time. Although the request was to convert, the letter indicates that he wants that parking area to be converted to a loading zone. It sounds like he wanted it to be all the time. But we had follow-up conversations with Mr. Keller, and we indicated that it's better to do it between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. This will serve their business and serve other businesses, at night. And he agreed to this proposal. So we're asking to the commission to approve the staff recommendation on this issue.
Excellent, thank you. Next up then, are there any comments at all? Stephanie, do we have anyone that needs to speak?
No, we don't have any comments.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Next up then,
Chair, I think there's a question from Commissioner Urbanski.
yep, I'm trying to get a different screen here so we can do that. Yep, Commissioner Urbanski, thank you.
I just have a question. Do we know how heavily that parking area is used during the daytime? And is there alternate parking for people who would want to park on that stretch of Watson? I mean, if that is closed to parking during the daytime, is there anywhere close by where the people could park? Just wondered if you had any information on that.
Yeah, from observation, when we used to work at the office, it was used, but it's tucked away from all places. It was like the last resort, for parking. If somebody was looking for parking and they couldn't find any, this is the last place they'll go to. It's away from all the activity. So
Okay.
it's not heavily used.
But in the evening, it'd be used because of the food carts, is that right?
In the evening, yeah, parking demand picks up quite a bit, and it
Okay.
could be used by people who go to the food carts.
Okay,
And
thank you.
currently, some of them, they park on Beaverdam, some on Rose Beach. They park all over in parking lots. So yeah, I think doing it this way will serve the businesses in the area at night pretty well, yeah.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. One follow-up to that, Mr. Khasho, was the request was for a 3-year duration. And how would that process work, and would we revisit that? Typically there's not a time on that, correct? So you're actually requesting that this go on unless I missed it being stated.
Yeah, I did not specify a date because we're not sure when the actual redevelopment will happen, you know. I mean, there could be a few months, sometimes difference. But, you know, if we don't need it later on, we will come back to the commission and explain, you know, that we will be taking it out. But between now and that time, I think there will be many changes in that area, potentially, you know, the extension of the Milliken Way and other projects, the loop project that's going on there. So things might change in between. So that's why I left it open-ended at this time.
All right, thank you. The other question I had was that there's 85 feet of on-street parking, but then you identified that this would remove approximately 4 parking spaces. When I looked at the map, it looked like that was the whole area. So I guess I just want to make sure that you're saying that 85 feet was approximately 4 parking spaces? Or was there extra room in that?
Uh-oh, he's muted.
Oh, you're muted, Jabra.
Yes, it is 85 feet. I measured it in the field. It looks longer on the plan here because of the scale. But it's that whole area, yes.
Okay, which is about, so 4 parking spaces are about 85 feet?
You know, part of this hatched area on the drawing, like the northern part, that's where the driveway is. So you take the driveway out. So it starts a little bit to the south of where it starts now on the drawing.
Okay, thank you. That was all I had. Commissioner Brown?
So a couple of questions for Jabra. Did Mr. Keller indicate at all how frequently he gets deliveries?
No, he did not.
Okay. And then the other thing, Sergeant Shaw recognized that if you're unloading a tractor out the rear, you're going to end up in the road with a pallet jack, possibly, which then you've got to drag down the road and up the driveway to get onto the sidewalk to go to the entrance into the building. I don't know how big of a problem that presents for us. I mean, it's probably done elsewhere, but probably not the greatest.
So here, let me explain how the unloading is going to happen. Now, since if a truck is parked there, the rear of the truck will be at their driveway to their parking lot. So they'll unload from the back, but then if they have a forklift, then they'll go to the driveway, to the sidewalk, and to the entrance on the side. Yeah, eventually they will be on the street, but they will be in that parking strip. You know, they're not in the travel lane.
But they might be going up the sidewalk with a forklift?
Typically, those are hand, lifts.
Okay.
They could, some use, motorized forklift, and they use the sidewalks. Yeah, if they have to, they have to.
Okay, all right.
It's not the smoothest operation that we were looking for, but it will provide an alternative to be able to unload.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, with that in mind then, no final staff comments then. We'll go ahead and close. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Moore. Thank you. And you're on mute.
Yes, I was curious because I did read that the loading zone is intended to be used for multiple unloadings, not just for that particular company. I'm curious as to whether we have any intelligence as to how those unloading, how the food carts and other businesses in the area, are they currently doing, Jabra, what you mentioned as they don't have a distinctive place to unload, and this is going to allow the community to have a more distinct and a more perhaps safer way to get their goods to their location? Is that part of the intention here?
It could be used by them. And there is also another loading zone. It's on the north side of Milliken, just around the corner where
I see.
24-hour fitness is or used
Yes.
to be. There is one there that is used by all businesses on Milliken Way. And the food carts, they have their own loading, unloading from Rose Beachy. They could access, they could go inside from that entrance. It was approved and designed this way, so they don't have to use this one. But in case, because when around noon, they close that entrance because they have many pedestrians and foot traffic. So they could use this loading zone too if they choose to use it.
It's an alternate.
It's an
option.
alternate, it's an additional one, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you. With that in mind, then we would have any final commission discussions or deliberations, or we'd also entertain a motion to approve as written, to approve modifications or deny said proposal. Very good then. I will make a motion then that we approve TC 814 loading zone change in Southwest Watson Avenue near Beaverdam as written. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Moore, second. Final discussion. Thank you. Then we'll go to roll call. Again, same order. Commissioner Bobadilla.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean.
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
And Commissioner Urbanski.
Aye.
And Chair Conway, aye. So motion passes unanimous. Thank you. Uh, 7-0. Okay, next up then is, go over here and split the screen. Next up is TC 815, changing lane restrictions in Southwest Watson Avenue between Farmington Road and First Street. Mr. Khasho, opening. You're on mute, sir.
My apology. This request is from staff. During a recent review of crash data and field observations conducted at Watson Avenue between Farmington and First Street, the location was found to have a high number of side swipe and rear end crashes due to lane changes. Also, it shows that there is a conflict sometimes between vehicles traveling southbound and vehicles are trying to park. Southwest Watson Avenue is classified as an arterial street. It has parking on both sides. It has two 11-foot lanes and a 5-foot bike lane. The area around the study segment of Southwest Watson Avenue is mixed use with a variety of retail businesses, restaurants, and apartments. There were 7 reported crashes during the most recent 3 years of available crash data. One crash involved a parking vehicle. 3 crashes were a side swipe due to lane changes, and 3 crashes were turning from the wrong lane. Basically, they were changing lanes as they reach First Street and make a left to First. Staff recommends restricting lane changes between Southwest Watson Avenue, on Southwest Watson Avenue between Farmington Road and First Street. The lane change restriction will be for approximately 200 feet, which is 1 block. Restricting lane change on Southwest Watson Avenue will reduce vehicular conflict and minimize the frequency of crashes while improving safety for all roadway users. If approved, a double solid white lines will be installed between Farmington and First Street. This will make the drivers aware that they cannot change lanes in this area, and it will minimize confusion too. So we're asking the commission to approve the staff request.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Khasho. Next up, just to double check, Stephanie, are there any visitors or? Excellent.
No,
thank you.
sir.
Very good. That in mind then, are there any questions of Commission? I'll begin with Commissioner Urbanski.
It's not clear to me how drivers will know that they're not allowed to change lanes until they actually get onto the street. So for example, if somebody's driving west on Farmington Road and then they turn onto Watson, will there be any advanced warning, or will they suddenly turn onto Watson and then suddenly find that they can't change lane? If they want to park on the east side of Watson. It's not clear to me what advanced warning there will be to cars before they actually get to that section of Watson.
Yeah, typically when you turn from one street to another, the law says you have to turn from the right lane to the right lane if the receiving street has multiple lanes. So as you turn from right lane to right lane, you see that double white. And then double white means you cannot cross that lane and you continue straight. That's how you know about it. For example, also, let's say you're turning from a two-way street to a two-way street. You turn right and there is a double yellow indicating, somebody's coming the other way. So as you turn, you see the double yellow and you will not cross that double yellow. So it works the same way, but it will be a white line instead of a yellow line.
Will the white line be sufficient, or you need studs or something? Because if somebody turns in onto Watson with the intention of parking on the east side of the street, then basically they're excluded from using that parking space on the east side. In fact, the only people that could ever park there are people coming directly south on Watson from Milliken, right? So
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
will the white line be sufficient to, or will it cause panic? They'll turn onto Watson and want to get over to an empty parking space on the left, and they will ignore the white line anyway. Here It
we're
looks like a
trying
mess.
to, I know it could happen, not everyone follow the rules, but typically when you do a design or you implement, a change, that implementation or design is based on how people should drive. I agree with you. Some people will move over to the next lane if they find a parking spot. But if you look at it, the frequency will be much lower than you leave it open like this. Frequency of people disobeying, the double white line and to park on the other side will be less than when you allow it and people jump in too. So you think twice before you do it. So also we have to evaluate, is parking more important than safety? To me, it's not. And if they have to go around or find a parking spot that it's little bit a block further, I'll take this over anytime, because safety is first. And that's what the goal is. Yeah, you're right. Some people will violate it. People violate speed limits. People do many wrong things. But here we were trying to achieve the best without too much physical change to the street.
Okay, yeah, because my concern was that the only people that can ever use that parking space on the east side were people that go way, way right round to Milliken and come. That's the only way you can get there legally.
Yeah, if you're coming from Watson, from the north, yeah, people in the left lane, they can use it.
Okay.
I mean, I see people making a left, they'll be in the right lane, coming from, going south on Watson just before they get to Farmington. And when they get to Farmington, they make a left to Farmington from the right lane. It happens. With, the traffic control devices are intended to serve what the law says and to serve the prudent driver. You cannot change things and add things just to try to cover everyone,
Yeah,
But that's the intention.
it's a nasty
of this
junction there
change.
anyway. Okay.
Ernie, you're on mute.
There we go. Sorry about that. Commissioner Moore first, and then we'll go to Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. I note that Sergeant Shaw asked, is there something else that can be done to physically divide the roadway in his memorandum? If there are other suggestions, I think that it bears discussing because as Commissioner Urbanski pointed out, there are numerous opportunities for this to become more of a challenge perhaps than it already is. And the whole point is we're trying to address a problem that already exists. I think that I don't have any great solution for it, but perhaps other people have suggestions that might serve this better. I'm very concerned that it's not enforceable as because of the area itself makes it difficult for the police to be able to make sure this rule is actually followed, even though we'll have that double line there. I'm also concerned that we've had other commission issues that we've had to consider in the past about speeding in that area and the fact that there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. So we want to make sure this is addressed. We want to make this a safer area. Not saying that this is the final solution to this, correcting the problem that's going on there. Anyone have any other suggestions as to how this can be addressed?
Yeah, we can bring that up at deliberations following staff comments. Anything else though right now?
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Brown?
Well, I had a similar question and concern. I mean, there are other types of traffic control devices, and it seems the potentially least effective is the striping on the pavement. Was any consideration given to some sort of a raised concrete? I forget what those low ones are called that are about 6 inches high, about 12 inches wide.
They're called
Ulcers?
traffic separators.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a physical change that, if somebody swerve a little bit, then they'll hit the curb and you could damage their vehicle, or it might cause them to twist or turn around. typically when you separate lanes, you need the least amount of physical obstruction. Anything you put in, it might create another issues. I mean, other options would be, with the stripe, you could use those plastic, they call them candlesticks,
Yeah.
like little flexible posts, but also those will be wiped out. Sometimes people swerve a little bit, their mirrors will hit them, and it creates other issues. I mean, here we're trying to improve it as much as we can. And like I said, it's the prudent driver and people who follow the law. That's how it works. If somebody decide to go over, that's people will do. I'm aware of this. People will do, and it's really tough, to make it really 100% foolproof without having a physical barrier between the two lanes. And barriers actually is a hazard. Even Jersey barriers, you see them on the highways, it's a hazard because somebody, swerve a little bit, they'll end up hitting it and damaging their vehicle. The same thing with this. You put something between the two lanes, that's what will happen. One option, we could start with the double yellow white and we'll see how it works. If we need to add, the flexible posts, but then how dense you're gonna have them in between, yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. And the reason also I'm little hesitant about anything raised in the middle is because the street also curves a little bit. When you come from Farmington, there's a curve in it at that location. It curves and then it becomes straight. So that's why I'm pending towards just only the double yellow, double white stripe, and we'll see how it works. At least it will improve the safety part of it. Yeah, it's not foolproof, but it will improve safety.
Okay, thank you. Back to Commissioner Urbanski.
Jabra, correct me if I'm wrong, but First Street is closed right now, is that correct?
Yes.
When it opens up, is that a one-way street or is it two-way?
It's a two-way.
So if somebody's traveling south on Watson on the east side and they want to turn west onto First Street, isn't that going to cause an accident because they're in the wrong lane to make that turn?
There will be, no, you could still turn from the left lane.
No, but and the way I'm looking at the map, if they're going south on the east side and they want to make a right turn onto First,
yeah, you have to go to second.
They'll be cutting off the traffic that is on the west lane.
So you're telling me you're going south and you're in the lane
East.
on the west side or the
on
east
the
side?
east side.
If
But you're
on
going
the
south
east,
and you come to First Street and you want to make a right turn, well, you're in the
Yeah.
wrong lane to make that turn.
no, you will be in the right lane and you turn because you turn right from the right lane. You're not allowed to turn right from the left lane.
I'm sorry, maybe we're,
No, I believe what he's saying is that if you were traveling southbound on Watson and you were in the right lane for whatever reason, maybe you turned off of Farmington, then you can't get to the east lane so that you can make a left turn onto First. Is that correct?
well, that's the opposite, but it means the same thing, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically,
So
you're cutting off the traffic
So-
in the other lane.
So you're on the east side then. So you're in the left lane and you want to make a right turn on First Street. Yeah.
Okay,
y-
that's what if you're on the, if
basically-
you're going south on the left side and you want to
Yeah.
turn right.
Yeah, basically you have to go to Second Street to make that right. The next block, by the time you get to the next block, traffic will start dispersing and gaps will be wider. Because what happens here, the reason the crashes are happening is the signal will open at Watson and they go in as a platoon, you know, they start all going at the time and they start weaving left and right, changing lanes. So this way it will give them more time to Second Street. You know, traffic will be less because some people will turn on first. Traffic will start dispersing and you'll have more gaps. Then you have a better chance to change lanes and make a right. So they'll use Second Street instead of First Street.
But would it be illegal to make that right turn unless we put a sign there saying no right turn? If you're traveling south in the
Okay.
left lane and you want to turn
Uh-huh.
right onto First,
Y-
you're turning
No,
from the
because
wrong
the
lane.
right lane, you cannot say no right lane because the right lane will turn right.
So I think Commissioner Urbanski, the answer is yes, it would be illegal to cross a lane of traffic when you're turning left or right. That would be an illegal turn.
Yeah, I'm just seeing all these problems developing here.
I
We're
don't-
trying to fix a problem, and I'm just wondering if we're going to be
Yeah,
creating
and
more
I don't
problems.
think any of these are problems. I mean, just to add my comments, Chair, I think, you know, I'm in favor of this. If somebody, I mean, it's a grid, they're all square blocks downtown. If somebody's coming from Farmington and wants to get, you know, on First or on Second, they can turn before Watson, they can turn after Watson. It's not impossible to get to these streets. I agree that because it would be separated lanes south of Farmington on Watson, and they are in that lane and they want to go to the opposite lane, they'd have to go around the block or they'd have to go an extra block to get where they want. And I don't think that's a problem. I think that's fine for improved safety. You know, I think the two solid white lines is a good first start compared to nothing. And I understand that there, you know, commissioners concerned like it's hard to enforce this, but I think like Jabra said, it's like, we're not guaranteeing 100%, you know, people are going to comply with anything we do, but this definitely would improve safety. So I think at this time, I'd be in favor as written, but definitely, you know, something we can always revisit as the future, you know, if there's challenges we haven't thought of, or if it's not, you know, enough to improve safety.
Thank you, Vice Chair McClean. Mr. Khasho, one question about, oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment about it?
Yeah, I just want to comment. Currently, there is pavement markers just before you get to First. The right lane has an arrow straight and arrow right. So it tells you just can go straight and right. The left lane has straight arrow and left arrow. So that lane is strictly through and left. So it's already, when you get to that intersection, regardless you have the double white or not, when you're at that point, you cannot turn to the right from the left lane.
Thank you. One question about this. The accident report went back 3 years, though. How much of this do you feel is impacted by the fact that there's really no parking on the west side? Because one of the restaurants has put out their stand. The commission has closed First Street. And then do we have a date on when that opens? Because we were told that parking was not an issue at all. People are going to be happy to drive somewhere else to go park, but and I am in favor given the circumstances, but it seems like there are some mitigating things that have caused the kind of I don't chaos is the right word, but there is definitely some congestion in there now that was not there before. Is that
Yeah, the
impacted at all?
crashes, the crashes were 2016 through 2018. So it was before 2020 is not included when the street was closed and parking was taken away. It's from pre-COVID.
Okay. Thank you. And then the First Street closure that this commission had voted on and then extended, when is that due for renewal?
It's the end of May.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Other comments? Yes, Sergeant Shaw, please. And you're on mute, sir. Oh, very good.
Thank you. I just have a real quick question for Jabra. Is there a way to a signage or lettering on the pavement within that block to let them know that they can't change lanes? I only know, at least in my commute from Clackamas County to Beaverton, I only know of one other area that has the double white lines, and that's the flyover from I-5 to 217. And I think it's actually pretty confusing if you don't know the law, what those two white lines actually mean. So is there any way we can warn people what that means? I mean, we've had the hawk signal for years and people still don't know how to properly go through hawk signals down at Greenway and Hall. So I'm just wondering if there's something else we can do to help them.
Yeah, that's one option is, you could have a pavement marking, no lane changes. It could be added. But sometimes if you have a platoon of cars, only the first car will be able to read it and see it. The rest of them will be following too close. So effectiveness wise, probably it's not that good. It could be supplemented with a sign, and the sign will be black on white, no lane changes.
Thank you, Jabra. I'm just thinking that over time, as people go through this over and over and over again, they might see that sign on the ground, and we'll have higher compliance as time goes on. They might not comply first because they could be the second or third car in the platoon, but as they become the first car in the platoon, as they go through their commute, they could see that and then realize that that's that way in that block.
I believe probably a sign is a better option since it's visible all the time.
Okay.
But that's an option that we could consider, but I think we should first try with just double white, see how it works. And we could supplement the markings with signing or pavement markings too.
Just to clarify, Mr. Khasho, we don't, you can add that sign at your discretion. You don't have to bring that to the commission to add a signage, right?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Because I'm looking just to restrict that lane changes.
Yeah, just want to clarify.
Thank you. Any other comments? We should have officially, with no visitor comments, closed the public hearing portion, and this kind of turned into deliberations. So we will officially close the public hearing portion and continue deliberations. Any other comments or questions of staff? Otherwise, we would entertain a motion to approve as written, approve with changes, or deny TCA 15. Anybody else? It is a little, I think the intent sounds good. I think everybody's in agreement that this is a good idea, that we need, there's, like I said, I don't know if chaos is the right word, but there's definitely a lot of congestion at that point. It does feel like a bit of a pinch point, and I think that, as Sergeant Shaw noted, I wish there were some other options for that. However, this is a good start as long as we can mark it and kind of remind everybody of the change in there, which we hope will take place. Also, be interesting to consider what happens when first opens up at some point, which I would expect it to. With that in mind, then, I would make a motion to approve TC 815 as written, lane change restriction Southwest Watson Avenue between Farmington Road and First Street. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Brown, thank you. Final discussion? All right, seeing none then, we'll take roll. Commissioner Bobadilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura?
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski?
Aye.
And Chair Conway, aye. Motion approves 7-0. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Next up then is our final Traffic Commission hearing of the evening. TC 816 speed zone on Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd Street and 5th. Mr. Khasho?
Just a note, Mr. Chair, we have another issue still, 817. So this is not the last one.
Oh, you're right. Very good. Thank you. Sorry about that one. Oh, right. I was thinking it was a presentation, so my apologies for that. I was looking at that when I read through the notes and comments. All right. So with this, though, we'll take Mr. Khasho, though, your staff report for 816.
Okay, this is speed zoning on Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd Street and 5th Street. At the October 1st, 2020 Traffic Commission meeting, Commissioner Brown requested that staff investigate the speed zone on Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd Street and 5th Street, and potentially to reduce it to 20 miles per hour to match the speed zone on Watson Avenue that was approved by the commission at that time. Currently, the posted speed limit on Hall Boulevard between Canyon Road and 2nd Street is 20 miles per hour, and between 2nd and 5th, it is 30 miles per hour. Hall Boulevard is classified as a 2-lane, one-way arterial street with a pavement width that ranges between 29 and 43 feet. The street has parking. In some areas, it's on both sides. In some area where it's narrow, it's on one side. Or in some areas, it doesn't have any, like between Farmington and 1st Street. It has a 5-foot bike lane and 2 12-foot travel lanes. At the library, there is a mid-block signalized pedestrian crossing, and that's between 5th and 3rd Street. In February of last year, 2020, traffic and speed surveys were conducted on Southwest Hall Boulevard. The average daily traffic on Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd and 5th Street was recorded at approximately 8,220 vehicles per day. The measured 85th and 50th percentile speeds were 29 miles per hour and 24 miles per hour respectively. The 85th percentile speed means 85% of the drivers are driving at or below this speed. To lower the speed limit, it is necessary for the Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT, to investigate the speed zone and issue a new speed zone order. In setting speed limits, ODOT uses the measured 50th percentile speed, which is the average speed, the functional classification, and the context of the land use and density in the area. This specifically happens inside urban areas. Other factors such as roadway geometry, side distance, design speed, crash history, the amount of direct access are also considered in determining what the speed should be. The Oregon Administrative Rules requires the engineering study to recommend a speed for a roadway that falls within the range recommended speed listed by context and functional class. For arterial streets, the list includes the following. Urban core arterials, the speed will be between 20 and 25 miles per hour. Urban mix arterials will be between 25 and 30 miles per hour. Suburban commercial or residential arterials, the speed will be between 30 and 35 miles per hour. And suburban fringe arterials, the speed will be between 35 and 45 miles per hour. Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd and 5th Street falls under urban core. And the recommended speed will be between 20 and 25 miles per hour. Staff is proposing to to forward to the state a request for a speed zone investigation on Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd and 5th Street with a recommended speed of 20 miles per hour. This will match what was recommended on Watson Avenue between 2nd and 5th. So we're asking the commission tonight to approve the staff recommendation.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Khasho. Are there any questions? Commissioner Urbanski?
So my understanding is the primary reason for this change is a bureaucratic one. It's because to match what is on Hall and to try and make everything 20 miles per hour. But what I'm not seeing is any comments from the 8,000 vehicles that go along that street every day, people trying to get to work before the shops open. And they're on average, most of them are doing 29 miles per hour or more. And so I'm asking myself, why are we getting no responses or no comments from these 8,000 drivers who suddenly are going to have to be going at 20 miles per hour instead of 30 miles per hour? And do we have a problem with the way we advertise these changes? Because I know we have those little placards, but my experience is you can't read them. If you're in your car, you have no idea what they're about. So unless you're actually walking and you stop, get out of your car, let's say, and read what's being posted there, you have no idea what's going to happen here. And I'm just disappointed we're getting absolutely no comments from these 8,220 vehicles. Is there a better way to be advertising these speed limit changes? It should be a big sign saying you're going to be going 30% slower from now on, you know. I'm sure you'll get more response.
To be able to read the sign while driving, the signs will be massive, you know, and it's very impractical. Location-wise, you cannot find a place to put a sign. So those signs, you know, we have them on both sides of the street. You see the sign. Some people are interested. Sometimes they stop, read. Most drivers, they don't. If they're outside the area, typically they don't. What we do, it's on our website, Traffic Commission. Agenda is always posted on the website. The reports are posted on the website. You click on the agenda, it will give you the report. We advertise also in the Valley Times. Those are set rules by the city code. That's how we're set to advertise. We follow kind of the same way of advertising for the Planning Commission. They do the same things. We also send notice of the hearings to the NACs, Neighborhood Association Committees, so it will be advertised at their meetings. If a person requested the issue, they'll get a notice of the hearing. Anybody testify will get a notice of the decision too at the end. So we follow exactly what the code specifies. I agree with you. The signs are small, but it's almost impossible, you know, to have a big sign where you'll be driving and you read the whole. Also, as you drive, you know, you'll be able maybe to read 2 panels of that sign. Let's say you have a changeable message sign, road work ahead, and it will give you the date, you know. You'll be driving, you see the panel, you read the first one. By the time you'll be able to read the second one, you pass the sign. So that's how, you know, in practical to post a notice of what you're doing on the street on a big sign, you know, that I wish there is another way.
Yeah, I just feel a bit concerned that we may be introducing a bias because the people that will be most affected are going to be the drivers, and they probably are not aware of what's going to happen. The pedestrians might be because they'll be walking past these signs, but they already have a lot of things to protect them. I mean, just in that block between 5th and 4th, there are 2 pedestrian crossing lights. There's one at the library in the middle of the block, and there's one on 5th and Hall. There's another pedestrian. So when the pedestrians are there, they can press a button and cross in safety. Plus, it's an incredibly wide street. There's grass verges. There's incredibly wide sidewalk for them. So the people that are going to be affected primarily these 8,000 drivers, and I just fear they're not even going to know about this till this all happened.
Yeah, but
And
also
we're trying to
you are in
balance,
a-
you know, safety versus reducing congestion.
Yeah, but also you're in a core area, you know, you're in the downtown area. And by state statutes, when you're in the downtown area, if you don't have any speed limit signs, you have to drive 20.
Even at 7 o'clock at night or
Even
6 in the morning when there's nobody
even
there.
2 in the morning, you know. Yeah. So it's yeah, I could see your point, you know. It's
Okay,
So can I ask you a different point then? If you turn right on 5th Avenue, there is a school there and there's a sign there. In fact, it's only 25 mile per hour speed limit there. But there's a sign it says 20 miles per hour between certain hours. In other words, when the kids are present. Could you
Yeah.
have a similar kind of sign here on Hall? In other words, when when people are trying to get to work in the morning before any of the shops are open or anything, they can go at 30 miles per hour or up to 30 miles per hour and reduce the speed in the daytime when people aren't in a rush to get to work. It just seems bureaucratic and doesn't make sense to me to have a speed limit imposed on that area when people are trying to get to work and safety to pedestrians isn't an issue. I mean, why have it at 20 miles per hour when there's nobody there? I mean, can we, I don't know, I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit here.
yeah,
So- So I understand that. One thing I'd like Commissioner Brown to, he recommended this, and as I understand, it was during our discussion of the Traffic Commission issue for Watson, slowing Watson from 1st to 5th as well. And at that time, the question came up, why are these different and why are we not doing them at the same time? And I believe that Mr. Khasho's answer was that we take them in different sections. We don't do the whole thing all at one time, but there was a need. The question came up about uniformity, how one direction was going to be one speed, the other direction was the other. Is that correct, Commissioner Brown?
Yes, that was my question the last time we met. Seemed like it would be odd. It would not be symmetry to have speed limit in one direction be one thing, speed limit going the other direction something else. The other thing that, you know, if the city is trying to develop, sustain, have a downtown pedestrian district, you know, slowing traffic 5 miles an hour or whatever for 2 or 3 blocks through that developing pedestrian area doesn't seem to be a huge burden to me. I don't know where what is it, 6,000 cars?
8,000.
8,000.
1,000 cars. I don't know where they're going, but if you've got to, you know, slow to 20 for 3 blocks in the middle of your commute, you know, that doesn't seem to me that it would be particularly onerous. Anyway.
Very good. So I'm sorry, Commissioner Bobadilla, do you have a question or?
Actually, no, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, very good. Commissioner Moore, and then we'll go back to Commissioner Urbanski. Sorry about that, Sherry.
Thank you. I wasn't certain that you can see that raised hand. I tried to use the technology there.
I missed that one because everybody's been doing this, so totally my apologies to you.
Thank you. I was curious, actually, I wanted to mention that our recommendation is merely at this point that a recommendation that a study be done. We're not going to see the speed limit change tomorrow. This is going to be something that will require that ODOT's going to come out and do a study, and then they're going to make a determination as to how these speed limits are going to be implemented if those speed limit change is done at all. So it's not a matter of we're going to cause this to happen. I don't think we're being irrational in our concern about the impact of it. It does seem kind of odd to have one direction have a one speed limit and the other one not. But I can recognize that different streets, even though they may be parallel to each other, may be used in different ways. And it may turn out that after the study's done, that what we're already doing is just fine, Commissioner Urbanski. You might be right on target. We may not need that speed limit change to occur, but I think that it's a practical consideration to suggest that the study be done so we can determine whether or not changing that is practical, makes sense for the traffic that is going through that area, as well as continue to allow that new pedestrian area that the city is looking to develop. And that was all I have my hand raised to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to Commissioner Urbanski.
Again, I'm trying to balance the needs of the people in the cars trying to get to work in the morning versus pedestrian safety. And right now, that section of Hall, to me, is very safe. It's 2 lanes, traffic's going one direction, there's a bike lane, there's a wide grass verge, then there is very wide sidewalks on both sides of the road. The 2 crossing points with lights between 5th and 4th. And then the pedestrians aren't there most of the time anyway. What I can see happening, we're trying to fix a problem that I don't think exists. And what could easily happen is cars are going to come up to 5th Avenue. They're going to see 20-mile speed limit for the next 5 blocks. They're going to turn right onto 5th, go a couple of blocks to Lombard, where the speed limit is 30. Now, I don't know if you've been on Lombard, but Lombard is a much more dangerous road than this road. It's 2-way traffic. There's virtually non-existent bike lane, very narrow sidewalk, no verge. So we're just going to be pushing traffic onto a dangerous street, in my opinion. And so it's not, there are potentially negative consequences. And I don't see a strong reason to be doing a 20-mile limit, maybe 25, so it would be a transition between the 30 to the 20. But to have people going there 20 miles per hour when they're rushing to get to work in the morning and there's nobody there on the sidewalk just doesn't make sense to me. It just seems a bureaucratic decision and not based on the needs of the people who are driving on the road. So that's just my opinion on this right now.
Thank you, Mr. Khasho. And then Sergeant Shaw.
But currently the speed between 2nd and Canyon Road, it is 20 on Hall Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah.
But on Lombard, it's 30.
Yes, it is.
And so people will go on Lombard instead. And Lombard is not well developed and it's certainly not safety.
I think what people do if they want to cut through other streets, typically they look at a quicker and shorter route, to go to Lombard and make a left to go to 5th and make a left on Lombard. It will take you longer than driving 20 miles per hour between the 2-3 blocks.
Well, it'll be 5 blocks in total because there's already 20 for one. It'll be 20 from 5th all the way to Farmington Road. Whereas
but the existing is 20 between 2nd and Canyon. So it's only 3 blocks that we're adding 20 miles per hour. So it's not just it's to make a left, on 5th Street to Lombard, you'll be at the signal. Sometimes you'll be caught on red and you have to wait. Then you have to make a left. And then you get to Farmington, there is another signal too. So I don't anticipate that drivers will be diverting to 5th and Lombard because it's going to take you longer time to travel to get to Farmington.
Thank you. Sergeant Shaw?
I just wanted to point out, transitioning as you're going, I guess, north on Hall there, what I have found in observing traffic and looking for traffic violations, especially when we're talking about pedestrian safety, is that those pedestrians that often come up to 2nd, whether they're going east or west across the street, when you have parked cars along there at 2nd and Hall, as you're traveling, it's hard to see those pedestrians as they're coming up. And if you're traveling 30, what I see people do is they're not able to stop. They don't see that that pedestrian in time. And it's very difficult, at least for me personally, to enforce that because they just can't see that pedestrian. And I've been caught in that same scenario where I haven't seen that pedestrian. And given the speed that I'm going, I'm not able to stop for that pedestrian to cross. So the pedestrians are having to wait until the traffic either backs up all the way from Farmington, or they're having to wait for large gaps to be able to cross Hall there at Second. And I only foresee as we get this growth in downtown, more and more pedestrian traffic crossing between those two, given that you have a lot of residential on that east side of Hall versus the restaurants and that kind of stuff and the businesses on the west side of Hall. So I just, for pedestrian safety, I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Very good. Vice Chair McClean, and then back to Commissioner Bobadilla.
Yes, I just want to share that, I'm in favor of this TC 816, recommending to the state to do a study. I think, my personal opinions, this is a core area. This is a very high pedestrian traffic by the library, during non-COVID times. And I understand during early morning, late evenings, it's not as, pedestrian traffic. Personally, I think there's a very minimal impact to travel time for people's commutes by slowing the speed down for a few blocks. I think, in my opinion, if someone did a Google Maps and did directions and tried to calculate, I'm doing a 5 or 10 minute, trip through that area, I don't think it would change but maybe 30 seconds to a minute, if that, in my opinion. So I really don't think slowing it down is going to affect people's commute. Also, my experience on the Traffic Commission, people are not always opposed to slowing speed down, specifically on streets they live on. If anyone you ask that's had Traffic Commission calming requests, they always want the street, speeds to be slower where they live. So I don't necessarily think, even though they're not living or there's not necessarily as much residents on this part of town, they wouldn't necessarily be opposed to slowing. And just want to make a point that the traffic study that Jabra did, the 85th percentile to the 50th percentile was 29 to 24 miles per hour. So there are cars that are, going under 25 already. So I think just recommending a study right now is all we're doing is no harm. It's a good first step to see if we can make it consistent with the other, street. And, if this is a core area and as more, life gets back to normal, there's more pedestrian traffic and, the library and the farmer's market and everything else, getting those streets slower is just going to improve safety, in my opinion, with minimal impact to people's commute.
Thank you. Commissioner Bobadilla.
I was just gonna say that I personally find it very confusing when there's so many blocks so close in time and then the speed limit changes so radically like that. It's so confusing. Much more easier personally seems to be that people can actually speed that way. And also there's a huge difference of how much time, I'm sure we all know this by now, a car needs to be able to stop when they're going 20 versus 30 and actually impacting a person, whether it's a child, other people that are trying to cross. So we're getting very, very busy in that area. I've been around that area even during the lunchtime. I've been down there early in the morning, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people there too, just that we do need to slow it down. And even by the school right there, they get busy. So I actually look forward to it, and I'm hoping that it comes back in a recommendation that it should be lower. It is downtown, and downtown should be more catered to pedestrians. That's what we're also trying to grow towards. Doesn't mean I don't like cars. Believe me, I love my car. I really do also. So I hope I'm in favor of it just as it is. And hopefully again, I really look forward that it comes in favor that it should be reduced.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Khasho, just for the record, what is the boundary then for the urban area? Does that start on 5th?
I'll say, yeah, the core area starts on 5th.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We'll officially close the public hearing portion, and we've basically been into commissioner deliberations. That being said, we can either entertain more conversation or a motion to approve as written, approve with changes, or deny
Question.
TC 816. Commissioner Urbanski?
You said 5th is the boundary. Does that mean all the side streets are going to change to 20 miles per hour as well? Because Fifth right now is 25 miles per hour speed limit. So we're going to change all those as well now?
Yeah, Fifth, you see, what
The
makes
side
it,
streets are going to have a higher speed limit than the main.
I understand this. What makes it difficult, you know, we're in transition in the downtown area. Things are changing. And that's where you have a mix of residential areas, you know, the core area, and, you know, then you move a little bit out and it becomes kind of the fringe or almost rural area. So that area is in transition. It's getting denser. And as you could tell, you know, there's more tall buildings, more apartments, more people. So with time, I guarantee you eventually most of those streets will I mean, 25 is good. Most of them will be 25 probably, except the core area, like between first, second, third, fourth, fifth, could be changed to 20 in the future. Currently, they're not posted. First, second street, third street, fourth street, they're not posted. They don't have a speed limit on it.
But Fifth does, it has 25 and it says 20 at the school when the children are present. Is there any possibility of making the 20 mile per hour on Hall and Watson, all those, with a certain time? In other words, that the commute in the morning would not be affected, because that is my concern. Before there's anybody walking in the street, if you said 20 miles per hour from 8 a.m. onwards, for example, 9 a.m. onwards.
Yeah, currently the rules is set. You cannot have variable speed, regulatory speed. The school part, it's the law. It says when you're in front of a school, you could set the speed limit to 20 miles per hour. If the speed is 25, then you could use the time speed, school speed 20 between 7 a.m. and it's 5 p.m. So that's how the law is written, that you could do these things. But on a roadway, you cannot have a variable speed, you know, black letters on white. If you're on 217, they have a variable speed on 217, right? Its speed changes, but that speed is advisory speed. The sign is yellow background. It says advisory speed. So that's why you cannot enforce it. Advisory speed, it's really hard to say, yeah, you're driving recklessly and you're over the advisory speed, I'm gonna, you know, ticket you. I mean, sometimes it holds, sometimes it doesn't. And unless, you know, the law changed the way it's written, where it allows different speed at different time on just straight street without a school on it, at this time, we cannot achieve this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Khasho. That being said, any other comments? Then I would make a motion that we approve TC 816 as written speed zone on Southwest Hall Boulevard between 2nd and 5th. This is again a recommendation to ODOT. It is not a set final until their report is back. That being said, motion being made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Commissioner Nakamura, second. That being said, final discussion. All right, roll. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura,
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski.
Because I'm not convinced by the practical benefits, I will abstain.
Very good. And Chair Conway is aye. So motion passes 6-0 with one abstain. All right, very good. Next up is the last one. My apologies for not calling this out as traffic commission. I thought at first that it was a presentation. So my apologies, and I appreciate Mr. Khasho's clarification on that. Final final traffic study of the evening is 817 traffic calming project rankings for 2021. Mr. Khasho?
All right. Yeah. Under the city's adopted traffic calming procedures, each year the Traffic Commission considers the ranking of eligible traffic calming projects for funding. To be eligible, projects must meet the established eligibility criteria, and the applicants must submit a petition demonstrating that at least 51% of the residents want the city to consider a traffic calming on their street. The hearing on the project ranking is also the time for the Commission to hear any appeals of the city traffic engineer's determination of eligibility. No, we didn't get any appeals of the traffic engineer's decision on this. Due to COVID-19, instead of the applicants collecting signatures, the city conducted the petitions by mail. Petition cards were sent by mail to residents in the project area to 4 different neighborhoods. Southwest 155th Avenue between Cormorant Drive and Falcon Drive, and Southwest 155th Terrace between Snowy Owl Lane and Chills Ferry Road were successful and met the requirement of 51% neighborhood support. Staff is asking the Commission to adopt the attached ranking list showing 155th Avenue, 155th Terrace from this year, and these 2 were the highest. Also, Southwest Duncan Lane is on the list, and Duncan Lane was on the list since 2018. The highest ranked projects will be considered for funding. At this time, the Traffic Enhancement Fund has been depleted. Therefore, funding for these projects will be coming from the Street Fund. Staff is recommending that the first 2 projects on the ranking list be considered for funding and to go through design and construction. And these 2 projects are 155th Avenue and 155th Terrace. Duncan Lane will remain on the list, and typically projects will remain on the list for 4 years if they don't get funded. Due to the decrease of revenue in the street fund is based, or it comes from the gas tax. And since COVID-19, hit, people are driving less. So the street fund got hit. It's not basically, we're not collecting much at the gas pump. The state is not. So that's why we're choosing the first 2, and we'll see how it goes. If the projects, we go through the design and everybody agree on a plan, and because currently we haven't set the amount yet. This will be in the budget in July 1st, the new budget, and that's where we'll set the amount for the traffic calming. So at least we will start with the neighborhoods on the project. We'll start the design, and we'll try to fund the first 2. If for some reason we cannot fund the first 2 projects, then we might defer 1, or we'll come back to the Commission and explain these things. But at this time, if this gets approved by the Commission tonight, we'll start the design process with these 2 neighborhoods.
Thank you. One question about the process, Mr. Khasho, and that is, you said if for some reason maybe the second one or the first one does not get, it goes through the process, but they don't get the approval at the end or agree on a resolution, and that one kind of lapses, for lack of a better word, then You do have to come back to the commission to begin work to move to the third one if there was enough funding left over.
If we have time and the one, let's say they do not meet the 67% required for the plan, that's what you mean, I believe.
Yes.
We could, yeah, we could ask the commission, to approve the funding for it, and we'll start the design for the third one.
Okay. Very
But
good. Thank
the way the program is written, they say every year, typically these will be done in September or November. But due to the COVID-19 and the way we did the petitions, it took a little longer. But the way the program is written is in September, that's when we come to the commission for the new list of projects. In the past, I think one time we came back for the Pioneer Street. There was an appeal, and the whole thing was changed a little bit. But yeah, if we say we finish the design, typically we try to do these before July. We try to construct the project, during the summer after, we come up with the plan. If for some reason one of the projects did not make it, and the commission is asking that we'll do the third one, we will do it. We will come back and say, hey, we're gonna start on this, and then we'll wait till September for what new projects come in and be considered. It's doable.
All right, thank you. One point of order before we move on then, there was a comment in the chat that there was a possible comment. Stephanie, is that still true, or?
That's Tony. He's one of the engineers. He's just here in case you have questions about any of the traffic calming that's on the list.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I want to mention Tony Chow. He's the project engineer who deals now he works with the neighbors on coming up with the plan, and he runs the program, in transportation.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Excellent then. Then there is no public portion. We'll close that officially and move to final deliberations. We will entertain some comments, thoughts, or motion to approve as written, approve with changes, or deny this motion. One question, I think, Mr. Khasho believed that there was the subcommittee at BCCI to review the changes. Commissioner Henderson, I think, was a passionate person involved in that, and Commissioner McClean had also noted, or sorry, Vice Chair McClean had noted that that was a concern. Do we know where that is with BCCI? I know they did not meet a couple of times this year due to a couple of issues in addition to COVID. And if they did, would that impact these processes, or would they follow what is already established?
I can provide an update on that. We met once with the BCCI before COVID, and we had not rescheduled. And I think it was Commissioner Beatty and Henderson that were originally concerned about the updating the traffic calming project or traffic calming program. So there was discussions of maybe updating it. But I believe because of we haven't had any follow-up with the BCCI, that's kind of fallen to the side, and I think we should start fresh. If the current traffic commission wants to make changes to the traffic calming project, we could discuss that. But I don't know if we want to do that before these three projects or after.
Okay, that's an excellent point. I think perhaps just a suggestion or thoughts. Perhaps Tony can give us a recap, having worked with these groups as they go through, or maybe a midway point about the issues that are coming up. I know the commission has seen or heard what's happened in the end, and there's been some confusion, or they couldn't come up with a consensus agreement. It would be interesting, though, to know what was, and perhaps use that as the impetus for a for a follow-up to either BCCI or review of this commission as well. So I'd like to keep that in mind, and perhaps we can get an update on what happens with these, at least the first two, and we'll see what happens with three. Mr. Khasho?
Yeah, if, Mr. Chair, if the commission feels they would like to review the traffic calming program again, we can do it. I mean, we're not tied down, you know, with BCCI. If you feel to do some changes, we could bring it back for discussion, and whatever the commission decide, then we'll let the BCCI know that this what happens, and you may or may not satisfy what they were looking for, you know.
Right,
But
and
it doesn't prevent us from looking at it again as a commission.
Right, and I think one clarification on that, not necessarily a review of it. I think what would really help is to have someone like Tony, who's involved directly with the community, talk about what the pros and cons were about whether it was or wasn't successful. I know that you yourself had mentioned a couple of times. I'm trying to think of what was out there at the one-off Walker in 107 or 180th or something like that a while ago, where we went through this whole process and they couldn't come to a consensus agreement. The reason they couldn't come to a consensus, I think, would be an interesting thing if that does happen this time. And I think that's my point, is not we'd have to review it. I think it would be great to hear what worked and did not work from the existing program. And if we hear enough, then we can say, well, let's review it. And if not, then we can say, well, okay, we know it's working. So just a clarification, I'm not saying we need to review it. I just think it would be interesting to hear back what someone else thought of the process and the program.
Yeah, currently we have two projects that going through the process. If you remember, Bonnie Bray.
Yes.
And yeah, is one of them. And Barlow is the other one. And currently we're trying to collect the 67% approval of the plan. What we did the meetings online. We did an open house online for both projects. And we sent the survey cards out. And so far, although they were all in agreement, so far they haven't got back the 67% yes. So what we're gonna do, typically requesters for the project, they go around, canvass the neighborhood and ask people to send their cards in. What we're gonna do this time is we're gonna look who did not return their cards, and we're gonna resend again another batch for those people to see if they'll respond or not. We did this with the petitions too. I mean, when we did these petitions, you know, by mail, we did it twice. So we'll do the same thing. I mean, here, we tried to get everybody by doing this, and this will give us a proof, you know, what is it? Although at the meetings, you know, they all agreed on the plan, but sometimes, I don't know, people change their minds. And
yeah, I think just to share, you know, the traffic calming program probably didn't anticipate online, you know, open houses or COVID time. So in years past, when they actually had an in-person open house or discussion at a local school, there was a lot more involvement. But then at the last phase, not everybody would return the cards to get a majority. And I think that's what the previous commissioners discussed was, you know, we go through all this work, we believe there's a consensus, but somehow it does not come through. And it could vary for, you know, how many people are in the neighborhood. If it's, you know, an apartment complex is in the boundary, that could add, you know, hundreds of people that are required. So there's a lot of other variables. So I think, you know, we can discuss the traffic calming program. Just, you know, obviously we have some new commissioners just to clarify what, you know, that program does. And then also, I think the concern was not just, you know, changing the whole program, was just that one aspect at the end. The other commissioners were concerned that, you know, we did all this work And it unfortunately didn't, end up going through because they couldn't get enough turnout of participation.
Correct.
Okay, so would you like to try a workshop for the commission at the next meeting for traffic calming, just to go over the program and get in the weeds a little bit, so you'll have an idea how it works and maybe have ideas how we could tweak it to work better?
Commissioner Nakamura?
Yes, I would like to be educated and understand it better. I would appreciate a workshop.
All right, yeah, I think we can have a coverage on that. Let's come back though and revisit that in just a moment. What I would like to do though right now is that would be alternate discussion, and we can add that to new business. I will make a motion that we approve as written TC 817 traffic calming rankings for 2021. Is there a second or alternate motion?
I just have a quick comment that, I'm in favor of the rankings. I don't think there's any changes, but I don't want to second. I just want to say I'm in favor of the current rankings.
Very good.
I'll second.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Brown, second. Thank you. Final discussion. All right, seeing none then, roll call. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura,
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski,
Aye.
and Chair Conway, aye. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you everyone for that, and we are finished with that part. I see no old business notes or comments, Mr. Khasho.
Old business, no, I don't have any.
Very good. The final new business before we get to the election part would be that, yes, it sounds like we do want a workshop for next month or the next time we meet. That being said, is there something going on for next month, February?
Yes, we will have a meeting. There's a couple of issues that we'll bring before the commission.
Okay,
But-
yeah, we could, please continue.
They're short, so it's a good time to have a workshop with it. So we could have the workshop after we deal with the two issues.
All right, excellent. I think that'll help Commissioner Moore as well. Alternate Cohen is, Mr. Cohen is well versed now, but good.
One thing just to
refresher.
add, and I'm sure you do this already, Mr. Khasho, but can you email out the traffic calming program? I think it's in those binders, but just before we have the workshop, we'd have that reference material.
Yes, it will be with the packet that we will send you.
Perfect, thank
Right.
you.
Chair
Excellent, thank you.
Conway, I actually live in a street where we actually went through the entire process and then nothing happened. I'm very well versed in it, but I'd love to
Okay.
hear it's supposed to work because it didn't work for us.
Excellent. Well, that's kind of what we're doing because we've seen a couple of those, well, several actually not get beyond where they were. Although one point to that we'll discuss later on is that, as Mr. Khasho's noted, once that's in there, it's pretty hard to ever get it out. So
Right.
that's always something to keep in mind. That being said, then the final item for new business is election of traffic commission officers for 2021. We have only 2 positions on this commission. Chair and vice chair. I am perfectly fine continuing on. I don't know about Mr. McClean or others or general discussion. As I recall, someone had to.
Yeah, we have to nominate and get it seconded. I was just going to add, discussion is if there anybody that wants to be chair, vice chair, you're doing a fantastic job, of course. But I think it's always good to, rotate or switch things up. Is there anybody that wants to be? It's kind of tricky because in years past, sometimes we would discuss before the meeting, but
That's, yeah.
if no one else wants to be chair, I'll nominate Ernie to be chair again.
Thank you. All right, so there is a Vice Chair McClean made a motion. Commissioner Bobadilla, is that a second?
Correct.
Thank you. All right. With that then, roll call. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura,
Aye.
and Commissioner Urbanski.
Aye.
Thank you. A motion passes 6-0. I will abstain from that, although I vote for myself. So thank you. I do enjoy it and appreciate it. It's definitely a good learning experience and also a good way for me to stay involved in some of the other things Mr. Khasho has invited us to attend and stay in touch with for the city. Also from a NAC standpoint, I think it's helpful to understand what else is going on in some of the other boards and commissions as well. So much appreciated and thank you for your support and faith. That said, next up, Vice Chair, Mr. McClean would willing to continue.
I would be, but I'm happy if anyone wants to volunteer. I don't know, Commissioner Bobadilla, Urbanski, Moore might be interested.
We'd entertain a motion from
I
a
don't see
nomination from
anybody.
someone else. I know nobody's jumping up.
I'm happy to continue
I'll
on if
second.
no one else wants to.
Sorry, then say
I'm-
again.
Oh,
I
I
moved
was
to
going
a
to second,
point.
but
Yeah, by unanimous acclamation, will you please continue? Vice Chair?
Very good. Okay, so I believe that Commissioner Bobadilla made a motion for or nominated Vice Chair McClean, and it was seconded by Commissioner Urbanski.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We need to make sure we get those on the record as we did when it was voice recordings, just to make sure that the meeting notes sometimes. I believe there's a transcript for that as well. So that in mind, then roll call. Commissioner Bobadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean.
I'll abstain for myself.
Very good. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nakamura,
Aye.
and Commissioner Urbanski.
aye.
And Chair Conway, aye. Definitely appreciated. I'd like to recognize Vice Chair McClean as well for all the work and effort. I believe you are the second longest serving member of our commission now. So much thanks and definitely greatly appreciate the expertise that you have brought. When you started, there were definitely some good comments and thoughts. And so I appreciate it. But yeah, it's the second longest person on there. I appreciate, Mr. Cohen, that you have come back as an alternate. Very thankful that you were once a commissioner and are willing to come back again.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And finally, I would like to, I'm sorry.
I have one more new business item. It's not
Oh.
on the agenda, but it came up afterwards, if you don't mind.
Please, I've got one final closing comment afterwards, but go ahead.
Maybe some of you know that the city currently has a project. It's basically it's a concept plan, what they call the loop. And the loop is whole Boulevard, Watson Avenue, from Crescent Street, the couplet on the north end, all the way to 5th. And the project is looking how to enhance the downtown, make it more walking, biking, and transit friendly. So they're looking at a member from the Traffic Commission to be part of the Community Advisory Committee. And this committee will be meeting, the first meeting probably will be the end of January, early February, and they'll meet till September when the consultant has to come up with the final alternative or final plan for the loop. So basically, the person who will be with that committee will be evaluating alternatives that been discussed by the Technical Advisory Committee and the Core Committee. And they potentially could be meeting 5 times during that period. So I'm asking the commissioners to maybe somebody will volunteer, or you could nominate and do whatever you feel like doing. But it's very important to have a traffic commission member on that committee due to your expertise and knowledge, you know, in the network we have and the community too.
Yes, definitely. If anyone's interested, I was invited to help attend the work being done on 92nd and Allen, the discussion for what eventually became the roundabout, which is supposed to now become the east gateway to the city with signage when they come in, when that's complete. It was an interesting process to be involved because there were more than just traffic folks. There were NAC were there, businesses were there, residents were there. Very interesting, informative. Is there anybody interested? Okay, if not, then you can put my name down, or Mr. Vice Chair McClean, are you interested?
I can do it. If no one, it's a little bit of a commitment of time, but I can do it. I think I would be able to find the time. So you can put me down as a volunteer.
Okay.
Okay, so Commissioner McClean, you'll be the person.
Yes,
do
yes.
it.
You said it was about 5 meetings, probably in the end of January, maybe in February.
Yeah, 5 meetings between January and September.
Oh, okay. Oh, if it's that much time, yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Perfect,
And
excellent.
I will be sending you a link because you
Okay.
have to fill an application for it, although you volunteered, but
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
fine.
know why,
No-
but
No worries. I'm happy to help with that.
okay, I appreciate that. I'm sure the staff in community development will appreciate you being on that committee too.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, final thing was first, as always, appreciation and thanks for your time and effort, gentlemen, to be here. I think sometimes you really don't want to have to be called on or even have any kind of issues at all with the streets, but appreciate both sergeants attending. Thank you so much for your time and effort, and definitely for your work and everything that you do for the community above and beyond. And not a lot of words that can say thank you for everything you guys do. So thank you. The other thing was I wanted to officially welcome our former alternate, Commissioner Moore. Welcome. I appreciate you coming and attending I don't believe you missed any of the meetings at all last year. So welcome. And thank you for your upcoming service and what's the word I'm looking for? Tenure.
Thank you
And-
for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate, it'd be interesting to hear what you thought later on, having attended as an alternate. And then also welcome Commissioner Nakamura. Thank you. Definitely welcome to our group. We always try and meet sometime. It was easier much pre-COVID to chit chat and discuss things before and kind of get a feel for what's going on. And sometimes we stay after also. A lot of questions came up for Sergeant Cher. And I think that there was always some good kind of discussion and information that got shared there, which I definitely missed. But welcome to the commission, and thank you for your time and effort in everything. If you have any questions, let us know. But definitely honored to have you part of our commission. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be a part of the commission. Thank you very much.
All right. With that in mind, then, unless there is any final comments or new business, then we are adjourned. There is a meeting in February, so we will wait for the packets and talk to everybody then. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone. Have a good night.
Thank
All
you.
right. And then Stephanie, you will send that packet out.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Last time, I think I got it and I just immediately filled it. I just opened it, signed it, and sent it back. So appreciate it. I'm not sure how long it took to get it back, but yeah, that worked out pretty well. So let me know when you
No,
send
we
it
got
off.
it back. Okay, I will.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll probably send it tomorrow, but I will email you that it's on its way.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll see how long it takes. I'm not sure how long it took to get back, but I think it was a lot smoother last time. So, all right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Bradford. We'll talk to you later. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a good
Mr.
night.
Khasho.
Thank you.